Welcome to the Maya class destroyer ship brief. This two-ship-in class is Japan's most advanced destroyer in their Maritime Self-Defense Force that we're going to talk about today. It's based on the Atago class, which will be in a follow-on lecture. This lecture is one of three we're doing focusing on Japan's destroyer classes. So this acts as part of Japan's layered defense strategy for anti-ballistic missile or ballistic missile intercepts. They have this capability with the SM-3 missile, which is one of the many weapons this platform employs. It also has anti-ship capability with the Harpoon or the Type 9017 anti-ship missile. It has 96 VLS cells broken up into two batteries, one forward, one aft. It can also shoot the SM-3 Block IIA, the SM-2 and the SM-6 ERAM missile, and the ESSM missile, which is a short-range air defense missile, but can be quad-packed into one cell, giving a 4-to-1 ratio for cells to missiles. This IOC'd all the way back in 2020. Let's begin with the weapon systems on the bow. Mark 45 Mod 4 is a 127mm gun. Behind that is a 64-cell Mark 41 VLS. And the Mark 15 Phalanx Block 1 Bravo CWIS is mounted just forward of the bridge. Behind the superstructure, between the two exhaust stacks, is the Harpoon launchers. There's two quad launchers there, one facing port, one facing starboard. Just below that, in a door that is normally shut, are the torpedo launchers, the HOS 303s. Those are triple launchers in a pyramid configuration, one facing port, one facing starboard. They shoot the lightweight torpedoes. The Mark 41 VLS back aft is a 32-cell VLS, and that is protected by another Mark 15 Phalanx Block 1 Bravo close-in weapon system. The sensors on this platform are very impressive. They have the modern SP-1D AEGIS Air Search and Fire Control Radar. Above that is the SPG-62 Fire Control Radar. These are illuminating radars used to guide SM-2 missiles. The SPQ-98 Air Surface Search Radar is an anti-ship missile radar that is very high update, very accurate, and is used primarily to defend the ship against a missile attack at close range. The NOLQ-2C ESM is mounted at the top of the mast. That is an electronic support measure array that detects, records, classifies radars, data links, Wi-Fi communications, anything that's transmitted via radio type signal. Behind the superstructure, we have two more SPG fire control radars, and below that is the Mark 36 SRBOC, which is the chaff and flare dispenser. Coming off the aft end of the ship is a sonar towed array, the SQR-20 towed sonar array. The ship is made in Japan, exclusively at the Yokohama shipyard. The Maya class destroyer by the numbers. It is powered by a cog lag type drive system. This employs two LM2500 engines that are coupled with two shafts, one apiece. It displaces just over 10,000 tons. Its length is 557 feet. It is almost 69 feet wide and drafts about 6.7 meters. It has a top speed of 30 knots. Its VLS cells are broken up into two VLS batteries, 64 forward, 32 aft, that can shoot the SM-3 Block IIA, SM-2 and SM-6 ERAM missiles, as well as the ESSMs. It can also shoot the vertically launched torpedo called ASROC. This is a Mark 46 lightweight torpedo that has a little rocket booster on the back and enables the ship to deploy a torpedo far away from the ship instead of using the triple torpedo tube launchers that are on the sides of the ship. They also have a Mark 45 Mod 4 127mm gun and two Phalanx close-in weapon systems. They have facilities for two SH-60K helicopters that are multi-role helicopters but primarily used for ASW warfare. The SP-1D radar is the primary sensor on board this ship. It is air search, fire control radar. The SPQ-9 Bravo navigation radar and SPG-62 combined for air and surface search and fire control responsibilities. The SPG-62 Alpha are the three round radar dishes specifically for target illumination. And above all that are the NOLQ2C ESM system for listening recording to radars. Lockheed Martin's SSQ-89 15J anti-submarine warfare combat system is employed to connect the towed array to the hull-mounted sonars. The hull-mounted sonar is the SQS-53 Charlie, and the towed array is an SQR-20 multifunction array. The SQQ-89 is the hardware and software system that the sonar operators operate using those arrays. The Lockheed Martin AEGIS Baseline J7 is a specific baseline for Japan. The United States uses Baseline 10 at the moment. These baselines are continuously being updated. Eventually, we'll move on to 11 and so forth. They have the Mark 99 MFCS fire control system and the Mark 36 decoy launch system. This is the LM2500 gas turbine engine, created by General Electric and is built in Japan at IHI, and a partnership between those two companies. It is derived from the GE military TF-39 high bypass turbofan aircraft engine. This is a very simple two-shaft axial flow, very efficient turbine engine, and it weighs just under 5 tons and produces 25,000 kilowatts apiece. Very popular among many navies. This is the SPY-1D radar. This is produced by Lockheed Martin, but parts of it, like the transmitters, are made by Raytheon. The software that operates is written by Computer Science Corporation, or CSC. And a 3D multifunction radar. It can search, detect, track missiles. It can also be used. It has a fire control function as well for guiding missiles on target. It operates in the S-band of 2 to 4 gigahertz, has a range of 89 nautical miles publicly, 360 degrees coverage with 4 90-degree offset panels. You can see one of the panels in the top photo there. And it can essentially look straight up. The elevation is very near 90 degrees vertical. So this gives a very complete picture with very little blind spot to the on-scene commander. Max power output is 4,000 kilowatts. But it averages around 64 kilowatts for normal operations. It can guide the SM-2 and ESSM air defense missiles with these radar panels as well. It doesn't need to rely on the SPS-62 alpha dishes. This radar is deployed in 137 ships around the world and IOC to 1986. This is the SPG-62 fire control radar dishes I was referring to. They have 3 of these on board, 1 forward, 2 aft. These operate in the 8 to 12 gigahertz range, and these produce a very narrow beam that illuminates a target like an incoming cruise missile or airplane and guides a weapon onto it. The SM-2 missile, for example, relies on a reflected radar signal to home in on a target. It doesn't necessarily see the target, it just sees the radar signal and goes to wherever that is. It's a very simple missile in terms of guidance. Well, that radar beam originates from the SPG-62 fire control radar. The SPQ-9 Bravo anti-ship missile defense is a 3D fire control radar. This is a pulse Doppler, frequency agile, so it's always jumping frequencies, very hard to jam. Low RCS targets like stealth airplanes, J-20 for the Chinese, for example, and some low-profile, stealthy anti-ship cruise missiles. I'm thinking of the Neptune would be an example of that. This has a high probability of detecting even those. It does operate in the 8 to 12 gigahertz band, has an extremely fast update rate of 20,000 times per second, has a range of only about 10 nautical miles. So this is very much a point defense radar that is going to provide highly accurate fire inside 10 nautical miles as defensive fire. Has 360 degrees coverage and spins 30 RPM. So that little dish up there does turn 2 times a second. This is the Mark 36 SRBOC. This is the Super Rapid Bloom Offboard Chaff System. It's a short-range American decoy launching system. It presents false targets to any kind of radar homing missile, or could present a false target to a radar on any platform. But typically these are used whenever there's an incoming missile threat. It uses the Mark 137 launcher, and has a group of 6. You can see canted at different angles there. You can reload these launchers at sea. It's not that difficult to do. And each launcher holds 12 to 36 rounds, depending on the variant of the launcher on board the ship. And this IOC'd in the 1990s. It's a very good decoy system. Here's the NOLQ-2CR ESM. This is an integrated electronic warfare suite. It detects, identifies, and analyzes threat radars. It doesn't have ECM, so there's no offensive attack capability here. This is purely a receiver, but it's very good at detecting and classifying radar threats. It covers the area of NATO's X and I bands, and decoy control functions come with this. So this would be linked to the SRBOC-36 decoy launcher. This is the system that would tell it when to deploy. This is the SQS-53 Charlie hull-mounted sonar system. Very reliable, old school, been around a while. Sonar system for surface ships, developed by Lockheed Martin. It's kind of a compact package, so it fits well on these small ships like destroyers and frigates. It has an ASW weapons fire control targeting system, is both active and passive. Multiple types of pulses, whether it's continuous wave or frequency modulated. The bandwidth is between 1.4 kilohertz and 4 kilohertz. Operating center frequency is 3.5 kilohertz, but those are the different waves that it can operate in. Operating ranges are going to be 18,000 meters, and if it's in deep water, you might get a convergence zone, which would be closer to 64,000 meters. Has both active and passive. IOC 1975. This is one of the sonar systems that is really good. They don't need to make a new one, but they do continuously upgrade it to keep it up to date. This is the SQR-30 towed sonar array. Here you can see the crew, guiding it as it's being deployed there. They would do a similar thing whenever it's being brought in. This is a very important array for the ship. It's a passive towed sonar array. Because it is deployed, hundreds of meters behind the ship, it's in a relatively quiet environment. It doesn't have a lot of on-ship noise on it, and so it has really good sensitivity. And so between a range of 3 and 25 knots, they can, listen for other submarine contacts and also incoming torpedoes as well. There are some limits in speed whenever they're retrieving and deploying it. That's a very narrow window, but know that once it's deployed, they can go up to 25 knots. This is the Type 90-17 anti-ship missile. This is made by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, also called the SM-3. It's based on the Japanese Type 12 missile. And it has an operational range of 150 kilometers, has a 225 kilogram semi-armor piercing high explosive blast fragmentation warhead. It is a subsonic missile. It's very harpoon-like and has a cruise altitude of 5 to 6 meters off of the water. I also did it in 2016. Here's the SM-2 surface-to-air missile manufactured by Raytheon Missile Systems. This is the Fleet Air Defense System. This is going to be the primary missile used to destroy incoming aircraft and cruise missiles to protect the ship. There's multiple blocks of this missile, but the Block 3 Alpha is the RIM 66K. They can also shoot the 66M5 and the 156 Alpha Block 4. All those have different operating envelopes and costs that come with them. The speed is Mach 3 of these missiles, and the range for the Block 1 through 3 is 92 nautical miles. The Block 4 one that it can shoot is a very long range, 200 nautical mile surface-to-air missile. It does have semi-active radar and inertial guidance on its nose. Here's the SM-3, also called the RIM 161 and its variants. This is equipped on Aegis-equipped ships and also land-based exospheric sites. It's used for missile defense. There's 3 variants here. You have the SM-3 Block 1 Alpha, 1 Bravo, and 2 Alpha. The Block 2 Alpha is being co-developed by the United States and Japan for deployment by them. This is a Mach 3 missile, has a range of over 1,200 kilometers, very long range, and has a 23 kilogram kinetic warhead, which means it needs to have a hard kill. It's got to physically hit the target, which is how it works. It has INS, GPS, and IIR commands. This IOC'd all the way back in 2005, and we're working with Japan to deploy the Block II Bravo variant for them. Here's the SM-6 RIM 174 surface-to-air missile. This is a very long-range missile. This is the SM-2, basically propulsion and airframe. So SM-2, thinking, needs to be guided by the SPG-62 radar, but not in this case, because what they did was put the active radar seeker from the Air Force's AIM-120 missile, the new C-7, on the nose. So you've combined two missiles into one, making a very large, this is a large missile, big, long-range surface-to-air missile. Can go Mach 3 because that's the same propulsion as the SM-2, and the warhead is 115 kilograms. This thing is the most recent variant of the SM-6. It is, they even have a variant of this that they put on F-18s. It is an incredible missile, and it works. They've tested it in war games, and it's quite capable. IOC'd all the way back in 2011. Became public for aviation use just this year. Here's the Mark 15 Phalanx Block I Bravo close-in weapon system. This is iconic by its shape and capability. It's been around since the 1980s. This uses the M61A2 Vulcan rotary cannon to shoot 20 millimeter APDS ammunition. That's discarding Sabo ammunitions. And it can shoot from straight down to negative 25 degrees straight down to almost vertical to 85 degrees up. It shoots, there's several different modes that it can fire in. Just know that it can shoot between 3,000 and 4,500 rounds per minute. Very high fire rate. But it only has 1,500 rounds on board before it has to be reloaded. You can reload these at sea, but it takes a while. So you're going to get 1,500 rounds, and then you're going to be, reloading it for a little bit after that. Effective range is only 1.5 kilometers. This is literally point defense. Here's the Mark 45 Mod 2 127 millimeter gun. This is the Mod 2 has the 54 calibers, and the Mod 4 has 62 calibers. So that's just different specific barrels and bore sights. You would also need ammunition for those to use on each one of those. The range, though, is significant. Look at the difference between surface attack of 23 kilometers for Mods 0 through 2, and the new Mod 4 can reach out to 36 kilometers. So that's really your effective difference. That's why you want to know what mod is the gun using. And fires up to 20 rounds per minute. IOC'd in the 1980s. This is the old standby for the U.S. Navy and our allies in terms of large bore guns. We have multiple smaller guns as well. But that's the big boy. The Type 07 VLA, this is manufactured by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, is a vertically launched anti-submarine rocket that has a Mark 46 lightweight torpedo payload. This is very similar to the United States ASROC. It's basically a longer version of the American ASROC. So it does have supersonic speed while it's deploying the booster and the torpedo in the air, and then it deploys at a range of about 30 kilometers or closer, of course. So it's a very long range torpedo compared to the American one. Of course, the torpedo, once it's in the water, it starts up and has just the range of the Mark 46. The 30-kilometer range is the rocket motor deploying the weapon. Here's the SH-60K Seahawk helicopter, an American naval icon. This is primarily an anti-submarine warfare helicopter created by Sikorsky Mitsubishi. It is multi-role, though, to be fair. It does other things besides anti-submarine. It has a surface search radar, the APS-124, and that is linked with the ship via AEGIS system. It has the HQS-103 dipping sonar, as well as ESM and ECM capabilities. Also deploys sonar buoys, so it doesn't need to stop and hover and deploy a dipping sonar. It can continuously fly at low altitude and deploy a pattern of sonar buoys, relaying all of that information back to the ship. Its weapons are Mark 46 torpedoes or depth bombs. It can also shoot Hellfire air-to-surface missiles. And this variant of the helicopter IOC'd in 2005. All right, final thoughts. The Mayan-class destroyer is a fantastic destroyer and exactly what Japan needs because it has the anti-ballistic missile defense. So no longer is Japan specifically relying on the U.S. Navy to continuously station one of our Arleigh Burkes in the Sea of Japan to defend them from North Korea, for example. So there's only 2 of these destroyers currently in service. One, whenever it's deployed, is very likely to stay in the Sea of Japan, just looking and watching North Korea, their most aggressive neighbor. And they have 2 of these. That's going to be its primary mission. It is capable of many other things. Fleet defense, for one. Also, it's a good ASW platform with the helicopter, the towed array, that sonar system, the SQS-53 Charlie. Very good system. And so she is multi-role and highly capable. So Japan has a very good destroyer here in the Mayan design. And this is just one of 3 types of destroyers that we're going to talk about. And this is the most capable one and most recent one. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been the Mayan class ship brief. See you next time.